Taking a look at the surrounding battles, Wu Huan and the others who were walking faster and faster, Xiaoyan let out a slow sigh of relief. It seemed that they had the upper hand in dealing with them. Xiaoyan also turned his gaze back to the Gray Guardian. The majestic Do Qi in his body trembled slightly, and a surging red Do Qi turned out, roaring and rushing along the meridians like a flood, and finally poured out of the body, suddenly pulling his strength. Rise to the top. The huge Yihua Hung ancient ruler was removed from Xiaoyan's back. The Yihua Hung ancient ruler was wrapped in milky white fighting qi. The tyrannical fighting qi caused the space around the heavy ruler to fluctuate slightly. Xiaoyan raised his head and clenched the handle of the ruler with his palm, tilted his head to Yueru and Lu Yin, and said lightly, "Quick fight, don't be dragged on for too long." Yueru and Lu Yin also nodded slightly. The former's blue-colored fighting qi burst out from her body, and the dazzling blue light made her almost like a towering tree on the ground, extremely conspicuous. Seeing this, the latter also refused to admit defeat. He activated his entire body of fighting qi. Bursts of ice blue fighting qi burst out from his body, and the small cold on his shoulders also exuded an astonishing chill. "Xiaoyan, give me a few minutes." Lu Yin also looked at Xiaoyan, obviously planning something. She seemed to be feeling the fierce, fighting spirit surging up behind her. Although she didn't know what Lu Yin wanted to do, since she could be called Heaven's Pride, she should have some skills. Xiaoyan also nodded at Lu Yin. The two in front of them are truly worthy of the Heaven's favored sons. Their strengths are indeed extraordinary. Immediately, the soles of their feet lifted slightly, and they landed with a bang. It was a milky white flame, light and shadow, carrying the violent sound of oppressive wind, and shot at the icy guardian in front of him. The violent oppressive wind blew the gray clothes of the guardian in front of him tightly against the skin, but the guardian's face was fearless. He sneered, and a silver long-skirt spear appeared out of thin air. And then the silver spear suddenly shook. The silver Do Qi flashing with electric light was like small snakes, covering the spear body. The guardian clenched the handle of the spear with his right hand and shouted loudly. The spear turned into a silver light and shot at Xiaoyan's neck extremely fiercely. Ding, ding, ding. The huge gray figure suddenly stood upright, and the silver rays of light were straight on the mysterious ancient ruler. Cannot help shaking slightly. The fierce attack was blocked. The gray guardian's face did not change in the slightest, and his arms suddenly shook with a silver gas like electric light rushing out along the silver spear, and finally turned into a few illusory silver spear shadows. Strange, he avoided the defense of Xiaoyan's Yihua Hungu ruler and stabbed Xiaoyan's head behind him. The terrifying silver fighter gun shadow with electric light made a chirp sound as it passed through the air. The attack power of Thunder-type Do Qi is quite impressive. Xiaoyan was on the Do Qi continent, and he felt it when he was discussing with his second brother, Xiaoli, so naturally he would not despise them. A few roared like angry dragons. The silver gun shadow that came in rapidly enlarged in the pitch-black pupils. Xiaoyan's body was shocked, and the majestic milky white fighting qi burst out. In an instant, it solidified into a milky white energy wall in front of the three of them. The three of Xiaoyan were tightly wrapped in it, and the silver gun shadow ruthlessly exploded in front of the energy wall that Xiaoyan had condensed. Boom, boom, boom. The energy wall was instantly smashed by the silver gun shadow, making a harsh sound like glass shattering. Compared to Xiaoyan, he had long expected that the guardian in front of him had the dignified strength of the three-star Do Di Peak, and his energy defense wall obviously could not stop his attack. But Xiaoyan did not do that. The flame divides the wave ruler. Xiaoyan's hand slowly protruded the ancient ruler of strange fire. Suddenly, The terrifying milky white hot energy that surrounded him became more vigorous at this moment, and even the space around him was slightly distorted at this moment. A substantive madness of white flame energy suddenly erupted from Xiao Yan's body in Xiao Yan's soft shout, and then poured into the strange fire eternal ancient ruler in Xiao Yan's hand. And enter. With such a terrifying energy infusion, I can only see that the original black eternal fire eternal ruler has 23 strange colors, which makes people look extraordinarily strange, and the eternal fire eternal ancient ruler seems to be swirling around. Like 1,000 flames. Oh, this flame is a bit strange. The gray figure holding a silver spear in front of him also saw Xiao Yan's attack and couldn't help but say, I rarely meet people with such special flames, so I couldn't help but be a little interested in Xiao Yan in front of him. The white-clothed man on the stone steps turned his head and glanced at the flame and ruler on Xiao Yan's body, as if he had said something to the Gray Guardian in front of Xiao Yan. It was obvious that Xiao Yan's attack contained a terrifying power of flame, and even the Gray Guardian, who was stronger than the one in front of him, had the slightest interest in the power of flame on Xiao Yan's body. While the gray figure exclaimed in surprise, he also pumped his thunder attribute vindictive energy into the silver spear in his hand, and then savagely attacked the fighting skills launched by Xiao Yan's eternal fire eternal ancient ruler. Puff, puff! The eternal fire eternal ruler, exuding terrifying flame power, and the silver spear surrounded by silver snakes collided viciously together. The terrifying fighting spirit radiated from the battlefield where Xiao Yan and the gray figure faced off. This Xiao Yan is really terrifying. The rest, who were dealing with their respective guardians, felt this attack from Xiao Yan and could not help but frown slightly. Xiao Yan, who was in the early days of the 3-star Do Emperor, could launch such a powerful attack. It was already very powerful, and the powerful one seemed to be the milky, white flames on him. Everyone didn't dare to be distracted. Then they fought with their respective partners and dealt with the guardians. Just as the gun shadow silver snake dissipated, Xiao Yan abruptly took a step forward. A heavy ruler in his hand flew out horizontally. The huge force brought a sharp sonic boom that ripped through the air and smashed it hard at the guardian's head. The terrifying energy created by the swing of the heavy ruler. The corners of the Yueru's eyes couldn't help but jump. After seeing Xiao Yan's battles with her own eyes, she only knew how terrifying the latter's power was. On the soles of the Gray Guardian's feet, silver light suddenly poured out, and his body shook. With a sound, the silver light flashed, and his figure actually flashed back nearly 5 or 6 meters. The speed was astonishingly fast. Okay, it's frozen. An excited voice came from behind Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan took a look and saw that it was Lu Yin who had been brewing something since just now. The moment Lu Yin spoke, there were also some ice blue ice cubes on the soles of the feet of the Gray Guardian who was confronting Xiao Yan. Obviously, this was due to Lu Yin's ice blue grudge. Xiaoan, come on! Lu Yin's words just fell, and her toes were a little bit, and her petite body was swept out and finally landed on the icy blue Xiaoan. It is strange to say that Xiaoan, who was originally insignificant, actually swelled several times under Lu Yin's words, enough to hold 5 people standing. She stretched out her hand and pressed it on the back of the icy blue bird. Boo! In the eyes of the originally icy blue bird, it seemed that the light of spirituality passed through it at this time, fluttering its wings and flapping its wings. The ice feathers are incomparably sharp and extremely cold. Swish, swish. Let's go. At this time, Xiao Yan was not in a hurry to pay attention to the actions of Lu Yin and the Gray Guardian in front of him, because he found that the fighting qi in the body had become extremely turbulent in the previous battle that was almost like a cloud in water, and a trace of it was extremely fine. Pure fighting qi was flowing wildly in his body, and the space around Xiaoyan's body was also rapidly fluctuating. A huddled and pure energy was almost pouring into Xiaoyan's body. Look at this appearance. Is clearly the movement that only happened when they were promoted. Xiaoyan was lucky enough to achieve a breakthrough opportunity when he attacked completely without any worries before, so that now the battle qi in the body is automatically flowing, and the strength has also started to advance as a matter of course. All of this is just a matter of course because Xiaoyan was originally the peak of the 3-star Do Emperor early stage, and the breakthrough is only a matter of time. It is just an occasion for promotion, which seems extremely bad. The movements made by Xiaoyan were naturally unable to escape some people with good eyesight in the hall. Therefore, the exclamations of Xiaoyan actually advanced in the battle sounded one after another in the hall. Hundreds of people stared at the figure wrapped in milky white flames in amazement. Breaking through at this time is obviously unwise. The guardians in the hall are eyeing them. If one is careless, failure to break through is a trivial matter. In case, now that the battle in the main hall is at a critical moment, he actually gave a sudden promotion, which really makes people feel dumbfounded about his luck. You must know that during the promotion, you should not be disturbed too much, otherwise you will be injured or even life-threatening. If it is normal, Xiaoyan will be extremely envious when encountering such a thing, but now would this occasion be considered a place to advance? Damn, can't you? Xiaoyan couldn't help but scolded because of this sudden situation. He also understood that in such a situation, it was basically impossible for him to be promoted quietly. However, this one promotion Yin didn't mean to push him in the slightest. It all came to him automatically. Xiaoyan couldn't bear to refuse, and this was what made him laugh and cry the most. Come, it happened to catch up. The Gray Guardian looked at Xiaoyan and couldn't help frowning as if he was thinking about something. And then his strength suddenly increased a lot. He saw Xiaoyan, who was standing still and didn't dare to move, and then he saw the movement around him. Suddenly I understood. I couldn't help but move my palm to the silver spear in my hand. The spear turned into a shadow and shot at Xiaoyan. Damn! Xiaoyan couldn't help shouting badly when he saw this funny scene. But he couldn't use his vindictive energy to defend, otherwise his chance to break through this time would be lost in vain. Xiaoyan, you complete the promotion. I will help you stop him temporarily. A pale green shadow suddenly appeared in front of Xiaoyan. Yueru smiled. At this time, the Gray Guardian in front of him also discovered something was wrong with Xiaoyan, and hurriedly took action. Although with the peak strength of the 3-star Do D of the Gray Guardian, he would not be afraid of Xiaoyan's breakthrough. Give me 10 minutes. After a little delay, Xiaoyan gritted his teeth and nodded, then hurriedly sat cross-legged. Shin controlled the crazy energy in his body. At a certain moment, a fierce look flashed across Lu Yin's eyes. She slowly opened her mouth, and a cloud of ice blue origin qi spit out. That Peng also opened the bird's beak, and the cold air roared out, turning into a cold wind and suddenly roaring out. The cold wind whizzed past, and the ground was instantly frozen, and the Gray Guardian was about to turn origin qi to resist, but his body suddenly stiffened. In just a few breaths, the Gray Guardian turned into a lifelike ice sculpture. I'm exhausted. Lu Yin's shoulders also collapsed, and her face was pale. Obviously, the previous implication was their exclusive skill in the city of 10,000 beasts. It was not as easy as it looked. Even if Xiaoyan was doing the bait before, he radiated cold air around the Gray Guardian, so that he could temporarily freeze for a while now. Xiaoyan, you can break through with peace of mind. Lu Yin also saw Xiaoyan's state and said that although she and Xiaoyan only had a one-sided relationship, it could not be said to be a bad feeling. and Xiao Yan's passing the first-rank examination of the Emperor's grade was also a well-known thing to the people present, offending him. It is not a good thing to be a pharmacist of the first rank of Emperor. Be careful. Yueru also hurriedly activated the blue vindictive energy all over her body and attacked Luin. What are you doing? Luin had just temporarily frozen the Grey Guardian, but she never thought that Yueru would attack herself when she was weak. How despicable. Luin thought so at this time. The bird on Lu Yin's shoulder is obviously not an ordinary thing. Seeing Yueru attacking her master, she hurriedly gestured to Lu Yin in animal language. That Grey Guardian wasn't frozen at all. The ice blue Xiaohan seemed to say. The conversation between Lu Yin and Xiaonyao was not over yet. A bunch of powerful thunder-type fighters carrying a silver spear whizzed away at Lu Yin, saying its late is quicker. Just when the terrifying Do Qi Pianlian was about to attack Lu Yin, Yu Ruqing's Do Qi also arrived. Yibing's long spear, carrying the silver-white fighting spirit, attacked fiercely with the blue-colored fighting spirit slowly exuding from Yueru's body. Boom, boom, boom. Circles of shockwaves emanated from the center of the attack. The Grey Guardian took back his spear, covered with thunder attribute aura, and from time to time thunder flowed on his body. The fighting spirit of this little girl seems to be familiar. The Grey Guardian also looked at Yueru with interest. The Grey Guardian did not know how long he had been asleep, and he had just woken up, even if his memory was a little incomplete. Regarding the attack of the Grey Guardian, even if it was as strong as martial arts, she did not dare to neglect the slightest. So Yueru also wrapped her entire palm with cyan vindictive energy and hurriedly greeted her. The palms collided, and the slate on which Yueru was standing was directly shaken into powder. Shh! Yueru just banged against the Grey Guardian, and suddenly another blast of wind resounded behind her. Yueru frowned slightly. Her right hand brought a turbulent blue light and pushed back. The battle is still going on, but for some reason, anyone with a discerning eye can see that the current battle between the Grey Guardian and Yueru is not as intense as Xiao Yan at the beginning. Could it be that the Grey Guardian is exhausted? After this wave of attacks was over, Luin was also very grateful to Yueru. Even if it was just the attack, she would lose her skin if she didn't die. She had misunderstood her just now, and although she didn't know what the Grey Guardian in front of her meant, Lu Yin's attitude toward Yueru was a 360-degree turn. Luin now has to look carefully at the Grey Guardian in front of her. This Guardian can break the seal in an instant under her own freezing technique. The strength is too tyrannical, and she is indeed the guardian of the peak of the 3-star Do Di. At the same time, she also looked at Yueru's cyan vindictive aura with great interest. Just from the cyan vindictive aura, she could feel an air of admiration. What secret does Yueru have? The green-haired girl Lu Yin also became curious at this moment, but she was not idle either. She also threw herself into the battle with Xiaohan on her shoulders.